Let's go and watch this Bassem interview real quick. The comments are hilarious, by the way. I don't want to give it away too quick. Let's play this from the beginning and see what they yap about.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Full Send podcast.
By the way, I called it that they were going to bring Bassem Youssef on. I fucking called it. I said this on a Twitter space on the Full Send podcast before, over here, Fresh and Fit. They would have never, ever fucking platformed someone like me or Nick Fuentes until they needed us now to save face. So I think it was a monumental failure on their end. And now they're being forced to platform people they otherwise would have never fucking platformed. So I predict that they're going to go ahead and get the, what's the comedian's name from Egypt? They're probably going to bring him on. Is what I think they're going to do. Yes. Yeah.
We have Steiny here, and I want to welcome Bassem Youssef to the Full Send podcast. Thank you for being with us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Obviously,
and the reason why I knew it was going to be him, chat, is because he's a comedian that's pro-Palestine, that's safe. Okay? Bringing people like me and Nick are considered, we're considered like viral.
Redacted.
Bassem Youssef is a bit cleaner.
this is actually our very first live episode we've ever done. It's an interesting one for our first live, but
We're making history.
We're making history. We have Steiny here, and I want to welcome Bassem Youssef to the Full Send podcast. Thank you for being with us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Obviously, last week was controversial for us, to say the least. We had someone on the podcast, very controversial, as I said, to say it in the least form. What was your reaction when you saw that we had Benjamin Netanyahu on the Full Send podcast?
Well, I didn't know about what's. I am sorry to say, like because I'm not your demographic, so I didn't know who the Nelkboys is. But like, I found my DMs exploding. It's like, did you see what the Nelkboys did? It's like, who?
Yeah, it's because the Nelkboys audience are a bunch of frat bro
Redacted.
their 20s that are degenerates, if we're going to be all the way honest.
Who the fuck are the
And kids.
Nelkboys? And then I didn't know that you're that big. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not your targeted demography, so I apologize for my ignorance. So and then I started following what's going on and the aftermath. And I being in the public eye for 15 years, I understand what does it mean to be in a very tough situation, and now trying to crawl out of that situation. It's difficult, especially with the backlash, because the bigger you are, the bigger the backlash. And well, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of people, when they knew that I'm on the podcast, like, yeah, go there, do them, have them. And I said, like, there's nothing to gain from just canceling people without knowing what went wrong. Because I think it is better to actually learn from what's happening and look at the bigger picture, instead of just like, destroying two young people like you, because that doesn't serve anybody, right? It makes people happy that you guys are falling, but the bigger picture is, why did this happen? And why was this, were you used? Part of you is your responsibility, and part of you not knowing. So I heard many of the justification that happened, saying that, well, it was a great opportunity, and I'm like, wouldn't you like get him on the podcast? I said, yes. If somebody told me, would you interview Netanyahu? I was like, hell yeah, but I'll be prepared. And I think the biggest part of you that you were not prepared.
Yeah, that's what fucked them up. It wasn't them having Netanyahu on that fucked them up. I mean, that's a part of it. But what really fucked them up was that they didn't know how to properly ask him questions, and then they weren't able to challenge his blatant fucking lies. But again, I told you guys this before, I'll say it again. The Nelkboys just wanted clout. So they thought, and I will stand on this 100%, they thought, if we interview Netanyahu, it's going to give us credibility so we could go interview other world leaders, and we'll be able to be huge. Like, we're going to get so much clout off this, is going to be awesome. Here's the problem. They grossly miscalculated how much blowback they would get, and now they're starting to realize, oh, that podcast wasn't worth the clout. We lost 10,000 plus supporters. Maybe we gained a couple thousand Israelis that like Netanyahu as supporters, but we lost a lot of fucking people with this interview. The world of YouTube and content creation and Instagram and all this other bullshit is a clout chasing world. Okay? And when people have you on, they have to strike a balance between does it benefit them, right? Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can ensure that you benefit them, okay? Number one, you have a large following. If you have a large following, this is probably the most tried and trusted way to get on other platforms. If you have a following, people want to bring you on because their hope is to do the collab where some of your following also follows them. Okay? Number two, you have a dedicated audience to some degree, right? Maybe you might not have the best audience, but you have a dedicated audience that really rocks with you. Cult-like following. That's another way to get in secure collabs, right? And then the third is you are an expert in a field that no one else really understands, okay? I'll give you guys an example. John Mersheimer, for example, isn't on TikTok doing fucking dances or on YouTube with his own channel, right? However, he's a university professor. He's well-versed in geopolitical situations. And his academic record speaks for itself. So despite the fact that he doesn't have a large internet following on social media, he has an expertise in an obscure subject that not many can give pundit-level information on. Cool? When you guys ask me, Myron, why aren't you on Nelk, etc., what Nelk has to do, especially with a guy like Kyle, because I know how he is. I've heard things behind the scenes with him. He's very cutthroat. But I don't knock him for it. But when you're someone like him or other creators, right, where your goal is just to get clout and be big, you're constantly weighing bringing somebody in versus backlash. Now, I'm going to play back something to you guys, being just brutally honest about myself. So Nelk looks at it like, okay, the red pill is blowing up. Who's the biggest face of the red pill? Andrew Tate. Let's bring Andrew Tate on. Great. They brought him on. It was a fantastic interview. Right? So they were able to tap into the red pill market and pull people there and, with someone else that has a big following. Now with us, Fresh and Fit, we have a big following too. But they look at it like, okay, because they're unaware of the content. Even though me and Andrew are very different in the type of content that we make, they look at it like he's from this sect, we're going to bring him on. Now with me, they probably look at it, well actually not even, I think, I know. All right, we brought Andrew on. Why should we bring Myron on? It doesn't make sense, right, in their eyes. And on top of that, guys, right, I talk about them. I talk about, right? So I am very well aware of the fact that I am very controversial on a multitude of different topics. So if people decide to platform me, they have to weigh bringing me on their show and taking from my audience or getting exposure to my audience. Is it worth it to justify the backlash we're going to get from bringing this guy on that is, again, this is what the media labels me, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, racist, bigoted, whatever. And simply put, the risk to them was not worth what they would benefit. For the first time, they got a guest that fucked them up. This whole clout came back to bite them in the ass. So what did they do? Oh, shit. All the guys that we said we're not going to bring on, we got to bring these niggas on now. We made such a fucking big fuck up that we need to bring in all the guys that we would have never brought on otherwise. Call Nick, call Myron, call Sneeko. All these guys that we were scared about bringing because they're anti-Semites, we got to bring them niggas on now. This guy Netanyahu is fucking our shit up.
Prepared 2 years under like the biggest genocide in our history. You guys had no idea what's going on. If somebody told me, hey, you're going to be tomorrow on the starting five of the Lakers in the NBA, it's like, that's a great opportunity, but I'm not prepared. I'm not going to make a fool out of myself. So it's not about you platforming someone or someone giving a chance for free speech. You were used, right? And it didn't start with the podcast. It started 2 years ago in March 2023 when you went to Israel, because I know like Israel has increased their Hasbara budget, which is their propaganda machine, with $150 million. And part of that money goes to influence people in college campuses, hire influencers like you, getting them into fancy trips to Israel, giving them this filtered, layered picture that is made up, that is fake. I mean,
Why do you guys think I was making fun of Brandon Tatum so much? He was talking about, oh, I went to Israel. It was great. Bro, niggas took you to Israel, not because Israel's great. They want you to come back and say Israel's great because you're an influencer, bro. These niggas are crazy. Whenever Charlie Kirk or Brandon Tatum or any of these guys talk about going to Israel and how awesome it was, I'm like, yo, you're so fucking low IQ. Dude, going to Israel as an influencer doesn't count, all right? I'm going to say it again. Going to Israel as an influencer doesn't fucking count.
I watched it yesterday and I was cringing because, not because like you were showing how cool Israel is or they have nightclubs.
You're saying our Nelk video in
Yeah,
Israel?
yeah. So, because when the part when you mentioned Palestine, do you remember? We're going to a place that is so dangerous now. Palestine. And then you are in a bus, and then like special forces come in and kidnap you, and this kind of like IDF simulation, counterterrorism, and then they're telling you we have a dog. And that's like the kind of psychopathic behavior of a country that filtered, layered. Then you are in a bus, and then like special forces come in and kidnap you, and this kind of like IDF simulation, counterterrorism, and then they're telling you we have a dog that only breeded in Israel. It can kill a man. And you understand that like the kind of psychopathic behavior of a country that like tells you like part of its like tourist attraction that we're killing terrorists and we're breeding dogs to kill human beings. And by the way, I don't know, part of the anger is like just last year there was like a kid with autism and Down syndrome that was killed by one of these dogs. And then the next scene is, let's go and see Palestinian family. And the only Palestinian family in this video are just like a bunch of Bedouins in a tent, a guy who's married 2 wives, and he tells you, my whole life is about camels and goats and chicken. And then you find like a 60 years old one, I just live on pita bread and milk. So even if October 7th didn't happen, you were used in a propaganda machine to tell people this is what you need to know about Palestinians. They're just like a bunch of people with cows and goats marrying 2 people, living in a tent, happy with the pita bread and milk. So you were recruited in March 2023 and you were activated in July 2025, right? So, and I'm saying this because I'm saying this out there for all.
Yo, that's hilarious. Bro's calling them a Mossad asset to their face. Let's go. Niggas calling them a Israeli. He's calling them Epstein to their face, bro. That's fucking funny. What an interesting way to paint them, I guess. He ain't right. He ain't wrong though, bro. He ain't wrong. Back to it.
All of the influencers are on there because there's a lot of people got backlash. There's influencers who went there like wearing IDF. It's like, we didn't know what was going on. Like he was like, I didn't know I'm kissing a Jewish wall.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely.
Let's go, bro. We're 5 minutes into this podcast, and this nigga already called them Israeli agents and kissing the wall. This is gonna be a W interview, chat. Oh man, 5:30 in already. Damn.
Definitely admit that. I mean, I think we were both.
Nigga said they kissed the Jewish wall, bruh.
Welcome, punch.
Oh man.
Just ignorant to what was going on over there. And obviously, I knew he was.
All right, niggas, we're about to have a banger interview right now.
I'll be honest, I thought he was controversial, but I was definitely ignorant to what was going on in that area. And I can
Yes.
admit that. And it was definitely, I wish we could have gone back and,
Yeah.
had 2 weeks to sit down with someone like yourself and we should have grilled him 50,000, 100,000 times harder, but something we can't get back. And we'll probably always regret
Of
that,
course, but I know you can't get back this like trip in Israel, but I'm just telling.
Notice how he's not admitting that the White House set up this interview and they gave him questions beforehand. Do you guys get that? He's not telling you guys that the White House set up this interview, number one. And number two, they gave him questions beforehand. Interesting.
You this was like part of a much bigger propaganda effort, right? And a country that spends $150 million on its image, they are covering something. They when they spread all of this propaganda, it's like, we're not starving people in Gaza. You understand that this conversation has been happening for 2 years. First of all, I'm not absolving you from your trip. You guys are not little kids. You are fucking 30 years old, right? People in your age have families and they have a career, and you need to stop. I'm just saying this because you're my little brothers, but you're not little, right? You need to stop infantilizing yourself. It's like, we're just stupid people doing stupid stuff. You're 30 years old and you need to be aware of what's happening in the world, and that your reach and your platforms mean something and it affects people. And I think the biggest reason why people were so upset for you, not because you brought someone and you didn't contest him, that it is the talking point that he used is the same talking points that have been used for 2 years to kill thousands of people.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll be honest with you guys, he's doing this in a very respectful and polite way. I told them straight up. I told Kyle and Steiny to their face.
Redacted.
Straight up to their face. Y'all niggas are
redacted.
He's being a lot nicer about it.
Right? So, but I mean, and part of the reason why people were so angry is that, forget even if you don't know anything about the conflict, there was like a total lack of critical thinking. I mean, you guys asked him the one good question when you told him in October 7th, how could this be allowed to happen? Everybody knowing that Mossad is like a crazy intelligent thing that infiltrates people and put bombs in pages. How did you not see that coming? But also, a critical thinking is, how come an attack was allowed for 6 hours in the most heavily surveilled part in the world? You understand, like in 2019, they killed like hundreds of people just because they approached the wall between Gaza.
And this is a fact. What he's referring to is they tried to do a peaceful march and they fucking shot and killed them. They tried to do a peaceful march, guys. Remember the guy that we saw the video? That's what he's referring to. The Jewish guy that, shout out to him, I can't remember his name, but it was a Jewish guy, and he actually told the truth. That they tried to do a march and they fucking got shot for that shit. Even a peaceful protest.
Gaza and Israel. You understand? They killed, you have like copters, like drones, you have snipers. Suddenly for 6 hours, you remember what Netanyahu told me, how big is Israel? You told me it's like as big as Rhode Island.
As Jersey, right?
Yeah. Like you understand the distance between Gaza and Tel Aviv is 44 miles. You understand that he was just bragging to you that like, hey, we went across 3 countries to bomb Iran. But you can't have a single helicopter coming out to defend your people. Like the October 7th was used in order to tell people, look to the Jewish people that were killed. But you don't understand that you pay $millions as Americans, as Canadians, to protect those Jewish people. So it's not just like an intelligence failure. It was a deliberate way to let people get slaughtered. And what did he tell you when you asked him what happens? Like, we're still investigating it. Really investigating it for 2 years? You don't know how people for 6 hours continued to kill people? That's why when we went on other people's podcasts and they told you, guys, they used the Hannibal Directive. They killed their own people. And I sent you all of...
Let's go! Let's see what Steiny Bitch got to say. Because when I fucking mentioned the Hannibal Directive, oh, this is crazy. It's a conspiracy theory, Myron. Let me pull up the fucking clip.
Myron Gaines has joined the chat.
A lot of the shit that went down on October 7th was a fucking lie. And most people don't have the balls to fucking call this shit out, dude. When we talk about the 800 Israelis that were killed, innocent people were killed. I'm not refuting that. But what I will say is a lot of those innocent people that were killed by the IDF because they were shot by Apache helicopters with Hellfire missiles. Hamas doesn't have that. There was some of them in the kibbutzes, which is their homes.
I mean,
They were shot
Myron, this
with
is
tanks.
crazy now. We're going conspiracy theories.
Hear me out. Oh, but now look at them.
All of the stuff. What was your reaction? Dude, that's
Nothing said. Nothing said. Nothing to say now. It's a conspiracy theory that the Hannibal Directive was activated on that day? How many times have I shown you guys a fucking clip of Yoav Gallant admitting that it was activated on that day? I'm damn near tired of that goddamn clip.
חטופים ישראלים, גם לשאול מה עובר לך בראש, וגם נוהל חניבל זה משהו שאתם חושבים עליו באותו רגע?
נוהל חניבל, רק נגיד, הנוהל שאומר לירות על מנת להרוג
Just explain, the Hannibal Directive says to shoot to kill.
כאשר יש רכב עם חטוף
There's a
ישראלי.
vehicle containing an Israeli hostage.
אני רוצה שתבינו
I want you to understand the ability of the defense minister
שהיכולת של שר ביטחון לתת הוראות
to give
אופרטיביות
timely operative instructions when everything is happening is very
שהכל
limited.
קורה, היא דבר מאוד מוגבל.
ניתנה הוראה לנוהל
Was the
חניבל?
order given for the Hannibal Directive? He responds, I think that technically in various places it was given.
חושב שבאופן טקטי במקומות שונים ניתנה, ובמקומות אחרים לא ניתנה, וזה
In another place it was not given, and that is a problem. How much more fucking proof do you need? How much more proof? This is the defense minister for the state of Israel. Functional equivalent would be a Pete Hegseth today. He is basically the Secretary of Defense for Israel. Okay? That means he is the boss of all the armed forces, to include the IDF. This is Israeli media. He's admitting the Hannibal Directive was activated that day. Then I say it by the IDF because they were shot by Apache helicopters with Hellfire missiles. Hamas doesn't have that. There was some of them in the kibbutzes, which is their homes.
I mean,
They were
Myron,
shot
this
with
is
tanks.
crazy now. We're going conspiracy theories.
Hear me out. Everything. So this fucking retard that doesn't know anything about geopolitics has the fucking nerve to say that I'm a conspiracy theorist. But here, with irrefutable fucking proof, I have the leader of their military admitting that they killed their own citizens on October 7th. And then, to add to it, even Bassem Youssef is saying what I've been saying.
conspiracy. Again, people were angry because you did tell you guys they used the Hannibal Directive. They killed their own people. And I sent you all of the stuff. What was your reaction? Dude, that's conspiracy. Again,
Ha, that's what they told me too.
people were angry because you didn't read what's going on there, right? Israel uses something called blitzkrieg. You know what's blitzkrieg? It means flash attack. This is what the Nazi did. They do like a very coordinated attack very quickly, very fast. It's like very simple messaging. Decapitated babies, mass rape, right? So there's an emotional response. People get so angry, and then after a couple of days, everybody goes back to their Netflix, to their UFC fight, to the NBA, and the people who stay, it's like, wait a minute, that is fucked up. That didn't happen. There's so many plot holes. Already, most of the people has already went back to their lives. So the people who stay and hold them
Oh, you guys are saying he mentions my clip? Really? What's the timestamp? We'll see.
accountable will be called fringe, obsessed, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theory. Like you said, oh, dude, this is conspiracy theory. It's not. And this is
Oh, maybe he is referencing me. It might not reference me by name, but we'll see.
why I have like sent you all of the videos so you can be educated. When you were on the podcast and they were telling you, dude, they spit on Christians in Israel. It's like, I was in Israel. Nobody spit on me. Yes, of course, because you were in a curated propaganda machine.
Yes, like I told you guys before, when you go to Israel as a influencer, you get a way different treatment. Way different when you go there as an influencer. They roll out the fucking red carpet for you. Because they know that you're going to go back and say, it was awesome.
Machine that showed you one thing about Israel. Do you remember when you were like in that bus and there was a guy with a scarf? It's like, oh, that guy with a scarf, like that, I don't know if you or someone of your friends said, he looks suspicious. It's not that cold. So the only representation of Palestinian are either people staying in a tent or a suspicious guy with a scarf. And I don't know who edited that. If it seemed like Mossad edited it, and if you guys have edited that, is fucked up because it just like solidifies the same.
Now, look, I see what Bassem Youssef is trying to do here. He's trying to appeal to them from a progressive standpoint of, hey, when you guys make your videos and you edit it in a certain way and paint Palestinians in a certain way, there's dire consequences because now they lose their humanization, right? I see the angle he's trying to come from a more compassionate position. But I'll be honest with you. Where niggas like this, you just got to hit them with straight facts. Like, there's no appealing to their emotions. Like, they don't really give a fuck if I'm be all the way 1,000. The only reason they care and the only reason they're doing this interview is because they got cooked so hard on the Netanyahu interview. That's the only reason why. Guys, make no mistake about it. Had they not had this backlash with the Benjamin Netanyahu interview, they would have never spoken to me, to Sneeko, to Nick Fuentes, or even thought about contacting Bassem fucking Youssef, which, by the way, I told them to do that.
Fatality.
That conversation has been happening for 2 years. They bomb hospitals. It's not us. It's Hamas. Oh, it's us. But there were Hamas underneath it. It's maybe a mistake. Then after bombing hospital, they bomb schools. And then they bomb entire residential areas. Then they kill women and children. And now, 2 years later, we are discussing the same question, but like, are we starving them or is it Hamas starving them? You see the cycle of deceit, the cycle of lies, the cycle of propaganda. So that's why I'm not coming here to say like...
And not only that, but they bombed these hospitals saying that Hamas is underneath. Okay, so why are you bombing above? If Hamas has all these tunnels below, why are you bombing above so much?
Oh, they are starving because I'm not going to go after each and every single lie that he said because it's exhausting. And they have been doing that for 2 years. So I'm here to show you the patterns and the bigger picture to understand that you are sitting with a narcissistic, psychopathic liar that's used to gaslighting people and lie them to them in their faces.
Yeah, I want to say too, we obviously, one thing that hurt me the most when we had him on was just, I have a lot of personal, friendships and stuff from people of all religions. And a lot of people were obviously just upset and they were messaging me personally, like friends, and saying, why did you have him on and stuff? So when I told them that we were having you on to...
It was the clout chase. He did it, guys. Let me be very blunt with y'all about Kyle, bro. He doesn't care about anything else except for clout. Are they famous? Cool. Let's do the interview. That's all he cares about, bro. He's only being apologetic now that it's coming back to bite him in the ass. But I've heard some things about the behind the scenes of this guy. Very, very cutthroat. Very fucking cutthroat. Put it this way. If you guys notice, they only drop like maybe one podcast a month. Right? Like they don't film that much content. They don't really work that hard, like as far as like streaming and doing shit. They just started streaming recently. Instead of being consistent and posting more podcasts, he looks at it like, oh, you don't have clout? I'm not doing an interview. Even if the interview is going to be good. And I've heard this from multiple sources and I see how he moves. That's how he is. He doesn't put this out in person, obviously. And this isn't me talking shit. Like, this is me just being real honest with y'all niggas. And if you guys look at their catalog, you go on Full Send Podcast, look at their guests. It's a big name. Mediocre interview. No preparation. Weird questions. So, yeah. I'm not saying that to hate. It's the truth. Look at their channel. And you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm not capping, bro. Right? The Benjamin Netanyahu interview was what like they just grossly miscalculated how much of a backlash though. That's why they're scrambling to do this interview. You know what I mean?
Explain us the bigger picture. They're all very excited. So honestly, we just want to learn about this. And
hell, matter of fact, they did it live. Actually, that should also tell you guys something. They did this interview live. These dudes never live stream their interviews like that. It's always pre-recorded.
You just want to use our platform to educate people.
What do you want to learn about?
I mean, I think it would just be good for you to talk about what Netanyahu said and explain us,
Well, one thing I said about the October 7th, like, he, and I like not just October 7th, is the way that he dehumanized the whole population. Remember when he told me, how can young people march in the streets with people who kill gays? And then he used this like overplayed lame joke, like gays for Gaza is like chicken curry for KFC. And it's just like, he keeps saying it in everywhere, and it sounds stupid. And they tell me they would kill women if they're not in hijab. So this guy who pretends that he cares about gays and women, and I send you the articles, like how they have actually, use revenge porn in order to recruit gay people. They go into Grindr and Facebook and Instagram. Like I think you have the headline.
The IDF goes on Grindr.
Yeah. They actually pick those gay people, and then they use revenge porn in order to hire them as informants. You have that? Yes. So over the past several months, I spoke to there's a lot of queer Palestinians that actually been used by the IDF in order to actually hire them as informants. And then the same guy who cares about women and children, he already killed more than 28,000 women and children in the less than a year and a half. And again, they use revenge porn. There's even a
Israel's elite intelligence unit targets queer Palestinians in the West Bank. Interesting. Over the past several months, I spoke with dozens of queer Palestinians who had encounters with Israeli intelligence. Many had received threatening messages via Grindr, Instagram, or Facebook from an anonymous individual who had their identity information forced them to turn into informants. That, in turn, has sown suspicion across the West Bank and freight. Yo, these niggas are diabolical, bro. Yo. I ain't gonna lie. That is fucking diabolical and genius. That is literally fucking diabolical and genius. That is some Jewish behavior right there. Respect, though. Respect.